Everyone, welcome to Clarity 15.9 support training. And now our new topic that we're going to cover is the additional attribute type support. There's really four things that we'll focus on in this section. The first being attachments. So the attachment field can now be configured to be displayed in the time layout, and I'm going to emphasize the word only for this release, for projects, ideas, custom investments, custom objects, and sub-objects. So in addition, the attachments field can also be configured for the same, for projects, ideas, and custom investments and custom objects via blueprint. So it shows up on the properties page. So we basically got the ability to put attachments in the properties page and a flyout for these particular objects. Second item is improve the way the OBS is displayed on the page. Display it in the full path. We're going to show you the full path, whether it's in the grid, flyout details, or the blueprint details, and filter. The third item, total units and total revenue are now out-of-the-box attributes for cost plans and budgets, whether it's in a grid, a flyout, or a filter, across projects, ideas, and custom investments. The fourth item, the task guidelines field is now available out of the box. And when I say out of the box, it means you don't have to go into Studio and configure it. It's available out of the box for the task module, and that can be presented to users in the grid and the board and the flyout and the filter for projects and custom investments. Ideas don't have tasks. So why is this important? Attachments. Again, I think for attachments, total units and total revenue, and the task guidelines field, all of those are serving the need to drive adoption. Users have these, and in order to help them make the leap to the modern user experience, they've asked for similar like capabilities to be available in the context of the modern yard. So attachments, total units, total revenue, and task guidelines are now available. So all to drive adoption. From the OBS display improvement perspective, this was more of a usability concern where it made it really difficult to identify just using the unit name only, since it can be consistent across different business units, across an OBS, that you couldn't really discern the difference between the OBSs as you're navigating around the application. So the full path has been added so you can easily differentiate the data. A little more detail here about what's changed. So from an attachment perspective, you do go into Studio and use the standard capabilities to configure that attachment across the various objects that I just mentioned. And you can use either a single document style or a multiple document style. And on the left-hand side, we have the example of the single attachment from the flyout. The field being available on the flyout as a single attachment. And then in the middle of the page is just an example of a multiple document style attachment. Now, the naming convention that you're seeing for the field are controlled by the user. So I specifically I use those names, right? As you can see in the upper right of this page, I use the actual name single attachment. You can call it whatever you want. OBS display improvement. On the left-hand side, you can see that the unit is displayed. And in some cases, there is a duplicate, right? York developed. You don't know if that's if there's more detail behind that. So on the right-hand side is 15.9. You can see in the upper right of this page is the full OBS path is displayed in the grid. You can hover over that and be presented with the full path. In the lower right screen, you can see the pull down has been selected or exposed. The highlighted item is colored to help you draw your attention to the selected item. And then just another comment here is if the column in this case is not wide enough to display the entire path, you'll get an ellipse. And if you hover over that, you will be presented with the full path. So we just improved the experience there to help users kind of identify the full OBS. So really nice improvement. Total units and total revenue being displayed for cost plans and budgets. Just an example here of the grid for budgets and a grid for cost plans, but it is available out of the box for the grid, flowout, and filters, for projects, ideas, and custom investments within the financials module. Okay. Task guidelines. This one's fairly straightforward. Guidelines are typically used to provide, to provide users with additional information to help them improve their tasks. So customers have become familiar with that utility in Classic, and so now it's available out of the box in the task module and can be displayed in the grid, the board, the flat, and or as a filter across projects and custom investments. Again, ideas don't have tasks. So that's a nice inclusion there. All right, so let's move on to the demo. We're going to look at the attachments, how that's used in the flyout. We're just going to show you the OBS display improvements, and I'll show you the use of total units and total revenue in the cost plans, although it is available in budgets. And then we'll just look at the guidelines field that's new for the task module. Okay, so let me end the PowerPoint and I'll come back to the product. Okay, so we are here at, we're going to cover off on attachments. So I'm going to come back to my project list. I'm going to highlight one of these just to expose the flyout. And I'm on the details tab. And as you can see, I don't have any attachments here configured. However, I'm going to come back and I'm going to just drag this in and position it. And it's showing up, the dock is already there because I was using this previously. But you can see I've got this, and I can, of course, I can control the width of the column as you'd expect. And this is an example of a single attachment. Just hovering on that displays the name. What I'll do is I'll click on that document. I'm on a Mac, so it's going to put it in my tray down here. I just open it up. Also now disappeared from my tray. I'll go ahead and close that. I'm going to delete the attachment because I just want to show you the, oh, so there's the icon there for uploading an attachment. I'll just come back and add attachment number 1. Okay, so that's the example of a single attachment. Let's go through real quick the example of setting up the setting up a multiple attachment. So I'm going to come into Studio. Oops, I'll go here. I'll go to Objects, search on Project. And this is, you can add attachments to ideas, custom investments, tasks, custom sub-objects, custom master objects. It's very flexible. Investments, tasks, custom sub-objects, custom master objects. It's very flexible. So I'm going to come into Attributes. I'm going to add a new, and then call this multiple, and my data type. So here's the new business attachment. And then the page refreshes with, well, what do you want to do, single or multiple? So I'm going to pick multiple. I am going to, for purpose of today, limit the number of attachments. And I'm going to put in my API attribute ID. Filled in all the required fields. Let that save. I'm going to come back to the Modern UX as soon as that saves. There we go. Good. I'm going to refresh. Right. Got to help this guy catch up. Okay. I'm going to come back to the flyout here for this guy. I'll open up the flyout. Remember, I have the single attach already sitting here. I'm going to hit I'm going to configure, get rid of that one. And then I'm going to search over here. There's my single and multiple. Again, these are naming conventions that I applied. And I'm going to hit exit. Now I'm going to come in here and I've got a different experience, right? Attachment, select file. So I'm going to pick my first file, number 1. Pick another file, 2. And you'll notice that the upload icon is gone. Remember, I configured this to only allow 2 artifacts. There's flexibility up to 10 that you can control. I'll remove this guy just to show you, okay, it's still available, so now I can pick number 3. So that's just showing you we're back to the state where I can't upload anymore. Okay, let me switch to the board. I'm going to just highlight, shrink this down just a tad, this guy. I'm on the board, and I've got my multiple attachments sitting here. I'm on a new project, so there's my field that's been configured there. Great. The next thing I want to do is drill into the ARD project module. So we're here from the board. And based on my blueprint configuration, I'm trying to get there. Let me go back to my projects, back to the grid, click on ARD. I'm going to go over to properties, right? That's been renamed from details. And I've noticed that the single attach, in this case, has been configured on the details page. And I did that via blueprint. Let's come back to the grid because again, this is only the attachment thing, the attachment attribute, I shouldn't say thing, the attachment attribute is available in the flyouts and the properties page. So here we are on our grid, right? I'm going to go into my column panel and I type attach. Right, I had configured attachments for projects. But again, it's only available in the flyout or the properties page. So that's why you're not seeing any results here in this release. Our goal in the next release is available to add the attachment attribute to the grid and do all those things I just performed from the flyout and the details page. You can do it from the grid in a future release, hopefully the next release. Okay, let's move on to the OBS attribute improvements. So I'm here at my page that I want to be on. I'm going to select a different view, my view with OBS. I want to draw your discard, yep. I want to draw your attention to the department OBS column that's here. Right away you'll notice that a certain width here and I'm getting ellipses presented, but as I stop and pause, I will be presented with a kind of help test that gives me the entire path. Again, this is in line with the improvements of the pull down menu, but I can click in and I can see, you know, with the default width, I can see some information. Sure, there's ellipses because I haven't configured the column wide enough. If I just do this, then I get what I want. I can see more. And as I mentioned, I can hover. Let's just shrink it down. So there's some ellipses. I can go in here. I can hover on this and see the full path. So those represent the improvements that have been made. Oh, let me do one more thing. I'll come into the flyout here, and I've got the OBS configured. Again, I can hover on it and see the entire path. Got my pull down, and it's going to do the ellipse because I've just set this width at a certain level through configuration, and or get the on hover, I can see the full path. So that shows the key improvements there for OBS display improvements. Let's move on to cost plans and budgets and talk about those fields. All right, so as I mentioned earlier, folks have been using Classic and have access to total units and total revenue in the context of Classic, and I wanted to have that out of the box from the financials module in the Modern UX. So let's go to ARD. Let's navigate to financials. And I'm on my cost plan lists, the summary, and you can see right here I've got total revenue and total units have been configured. I don't have to go into Studio and do it. It's just available as an out-of-the-box field. Likewise, I can type in total in the filter area. And oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to do this. I wanted to add filter total. And I've got my total revenue and total units are also available as filter criterion. So it's there. I'm going to, I think I wanted to here do the flyout for this guy for the plan of record. And there's my total revenue and total units are also available here through the configuration function. So that's excellent. Next, I'll drill into this plan of record. And if I look at revenue, right, I'm going to select those columns, and I'll draw your attention to the lower right part of the page where I'm summarizing the selected values, right? Aggregation is coming in a subsequent release, but in the meantime, you have this capability. So draw your attention to that plan, and there's my total revenue is doing what we would expect as an out-of-the-box attribute. As a reminder, total costs and total revenue are available in ideas and customer investment types, but they're cost plans and budgets. And obviously I'm showing you projects here. Okay, let's move on to the guidelines field. This one's fairly straightforward in the context of the task. So this is available as an out-of-the-box field for the task module, the grid, the board, the flyout, and the filter for projects and custom investments. So I'm going to come to this project, and I'm going to select the task module. I'm in my timeline view, and I'm going to select this one task, go to the flyout, and actually, which one? Yeah, I think that's the flyout I wanted. I apologize. Okay, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab guidelines. Oops, I'm sorry, it's already there. I'm just not seeing it. Details. Why am I not seeing it? Because it's not there. Headlines. I know what I wanted to do. I'm in the wrong field. Sorry, guys. So I'm going to exit because you can't put it on the phase. So here I am in my task. Guidelines has already been positioned on for this particular flyout. Sorry for the confusion there. Also, just want to call your attention. I'll go into the grid view, and I've configured guidelines to show up here. And given the column width, I'll get a certain amount of real estate dedicated to that. Okay, good. So that concludes the demo of the additional attribute